What color is your dot? Orange? Okay. So whoever else come in need orange so they can go over on this side. All right. Before we get started, do we have any questions of any kind? Anybody have any concerns? Yes, sir.
This is my first time here. I don't even know what I just walked into.
Okay. Are you married?
No, I'm not married.
Are you Muslim?
Yes.
Are you interested in getting married?
Inshallah, yes.
You're in the right place. And if you have questions, we'll go forward with there from there. And if you have questions, we'll go forward with there from there.
We'll trade here.
All right, we'll trade there. Testing, testing. We'll turn this on. If we do have any questions, and we are broadcasting on YouTube so that we can keep the information and so someone else can follow up on it if they don't have it. So if you have a question, we want you to speak into the mic so that everybody can hear it.
All right. Alhamdulillah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. That is with the name of Allah and the prayers and peace upon Rasulullah, our beloved messenger, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So as we get started here, yeah, we are. This is the first time I believe we're streaming live on YouTube. Okay, so we're not using the Zoom where people can verbally speak. So that maybe they might ask questions on the chat in YouTube, possible. But the thing about YouTube is it's going all over the world. So I don't know. We'll filter the questions, inshallah, if there's some in there. But what we have today, marriage in Islam, from intention to the nikah. Understanding the sacred bond and its traditional rituals. So we're all Muslim here, and when it comes to our religion, a unique thing that is different between Islam and other religions is that we have guidance in things by which other people may not have guidance in. What I mean by that, right? Usually, if someone is looking for marriage and they want to seek advice or guidance, if they're not Muslim, where are they going to go? Social media? Doctor, what's the lady's name whose degree, they couldn't find her degree? Y'all know who I'm talking about, the Dr. Bryant lady. Right, seeking people like that for marriage advice. We should be looking for that type of guidance from Allah and His Messenger. From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll find that in the Quran, right? From His Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we'll find that in the hadith, and we also find it in his seerah, the life example, and we find it from those who know, right? Those who know, those with that knowledge. Maybe someone that has longevity in marriage, maybe someone that constantly gives people guidance towards their marriage, and that person is seeking that guidance from the Quran and the life example of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So firstly, we want to understand seeking marriage is not just something we just do, but as Muslims, seeking marriage is an act of worship. This is a part of our religion. The way in which we seek marriage, we should stay within that realm as a part of our religion. Okay? As Muslims, a lot of things we do, we separate it. We'll be like, well, I'm a Muslim, but when I go for seeking marriage, I'm not going to look for Islam for how I do that. I'm going to do that how I used to do, right? Or whatever we want to do. We want to seek it from Islam, and we seek marriage. We want to see marriage. We want to view marriage as an act of worship, because it is. It's a part of our deen. So we can discuss what's the problem with modern approaches. What's the problem with modern approaches to marriage? What's a typical way a person that's not Muslim, what's a normal way that they would get married?
Right? They live in and be together sometimes 5 to 10 years before they get
Right. They're sometimes already living together, already doing everything else, but not married. You know, common fornication, where it's not even thought of as being a problem, right? What else? How do people meet each other and things like that?
Bar.
They go to a bar, you know, you buy the woman a drink or something. Start with alcohol,
Yeah.
okay? Go somewhere where there's music and you already, you know, start off inappropriate, right? So that's the modern approaches of how to meet people, right? A lot of times people meet at work, right? So these modern approaches is these modern approaches to relationships and marriage. What can be the problem with that? What's the issues with that come forward? That's right. That's exactly what I was looking for. Many times people get attached before they even know each other, before they even really know each other. Okay? So that's why we have a lot of divorces. We have a lot of, children being born out of wedlock. All of that comes with the lifestyle of modernity, of how people do today. Okay? Can you get to know, because in Islam, we don't date to get to know each other. We don't date. So before marriage in Islam, you're not going to have a girlfriend, right? Usually for non-Muslims, right, how does it go? Somebody started out as a girlfriend, and then you date for years and years, and then you ask them to marry you. They say no or yes, and then they become a fiance, and then you be a fiance. Some people have been engaged for like 5 or 6 years. We're not going to get married until we can afford the wedding, because the wedding costs $50,000, because they want to invite 300 people and rent out a museum to have a wedding. Start off in debt, right? So it's a lot of problems with the modern approaches to marriage. We should always be trying to filter our experience towards marriage with Islam. Always be trying to filter it with the right, proper way. So I got little things right here. Hope y'all don't mind the graphics. Trying to dating culture versus divine guidance. Big difference, right? So that's kind of small. So I'm gonna move up. Challenges of modern dating. Modern dating emphasizes emotional attachment before commitment, and often leads to confusion and heartbreak. So in Islam, that's what we want to avoid. We avoid emotional detachment before the commitment. Okay? Why do we do that?
Because it can lead to fornication and doing all that stuff.
Because it could lead to fornication and haram, but also it leads to people being in a relationship when they have opposing views or opposing idiosyncrasies where they really should have never gotten together in the first place. We avoid that doing things the halal way, because you find out something about someone that makes you decide you want to marry him or not marry him without having an emotional attachment. That's what Islam prevents. Heartbreak and all these other things before marriage, because you got too much of an emotional attachment. Okay, so we try to avoid that in Islam. The Islamic framework for relationships, Islam provides structured guidance to protect dignity, clarity, and long-term well-being in relationships. It protects dignity, clarity, and long-term well-being. So let's say we're all adults. Everybody's an adult here, no children. Everybody, imagine if we were non-Muslims, when people meet and they want to get to know each other, oftentimes they take things too far, right? And then when they find out they don't like that person, you separate and move on to the next person. If you've taken things too far, you have a heart attachment to that previous person you broke up from. Then you try to move on to the next person, get to know that person. Then your heart starts to go different directions because the dignity has been broken in character for what you were trying to do. Okay? Am I making sense here? And this is what we want to, this is how we want to do things in Islam and follow it the right way. Purpose of marriage in Islam, Islam emphasizes intentionality, transparency, and community involvement to build healthy, trusting marriages. We want to remember that doing things the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala approves of is what gives blessings to your intentions and to your marriage. Okay? Sometimes people start off rocky, right? In my office, if the walls could talk, right? But sometimes people start off rocky, start off in the wrong way, and then they come to my office and they're like, we want to get married. I'm not going to say, if you didn't start off right, we can't finish right. No. Want to have people make tawbah and then come to a point where we can get to a marriage with premarital counseling and so on and so forth. However, much more blessings come when things are done in the right way. From the beginning to marriage. It's much better that way. You have a clear conscience, especially when you start having children and then they come of age and you want to tell them the right way to seek marriage. You don't have any kind of, my children wouldn't dare, but I'm saying your children won't be able to come and say, but is this how you and mom met, right? Is this how y'all did it? Do as I say, not as I do as I say, not as I did, right? So you have that with Islam, and by the way, if that brought something to your subconscious, understand that when we're raising our children, we should always hold what Allah and His Messenger says above ourselves and above what we tell our children. I've had to do that several times with my children. It's not about obeying me, it's about obeying Allah. So we don't want to do comparisons between, how were you when you were 15, Dad? I get those questions. We're not having that conversation. Right? Why winging it does not work? Why winging it does not work? Now, what do I mean by winging it?
Going off of what you think.
Yeah, just doing anything. You know, some people, I know how to find a woman. I'm just go, and then I'm going to tell her I'm a Muslim, and we're going to try to bring it all the way back, right? Or whatever ways, right? The best way is to follow the way in which the Muslims should be seeking for marriage. Okay? We don't want to wing it. So, the value of divine guidance. Following Allah's guidance brings blessing and tranquility in relationships, unlike relying on worldly methods. Okay? The thing about these worldly methods, because there's always a new theory out there. There's always something else to try or something else to do this or that, right? And it takes you in all different directions. And oftentimes, these directions do not lead to the results that you want. Okay? Many of these marriage advisors and things like that, if you really, really listen to them, the advice they're supposed to be giving leads to divorce. It's almost like, are you trying to see how many divorces you can rack up? If he does this, leave him. If she does that, leave her. But what are we doing here? Right? So, importance of correct actions. Sincerity must be paired with obedience. Halal processes provide clarity and emotional safety in marriage. And entering marriage requires transformation and trusting Allah's process of success, stability, and love. So you want to be, if you are single, right, you want to be still working on improving yourself. Think about it like, what would you do if you knew that you needed to train up for a new job, right? If that particular job required a certain skill set, you want to start working on that skill set so that you do good in the interview, right? Yes, sir.
The main thing with that is beautiful what you're saying that, but if a person cannot accept constructive criticism, if they can't be a critic of themselves and if they see the problem, they can never fix it.
That's
So
tough.
now if somebody see a problem and you don't look at it, they're attacking you and they'll bring you down, especially if they're getting you away from everybody. Like college right quick. I know she's trying to get married, but I'm gonna tell you something. I've been married, I've been divorced. This was you. Man, how you attract? And that's it. You will never fix the problem. So that's the key. And I tell that to the younger generation. Accept constructive criticism, please. It took me 7 years to understand what that meant and for me to accept it. And I learned, and I took some L's behind that. So
Yeah.
an experience.
Constructive criticism, that takes a lot. You know, it's when it comes to constructive criticism, a lot of us have. I'm trying not to use trigger words, but I might have to. A lot of us have trauma when it comes to constructive criticism. You know, especially if you had like a strict parents or whatever. You've been constructively criticized ever since you could talk and walk, right? So then you become an adult and you start to reject constructive criticism. So it becomes a curve to be able to reflect on that, okay? So one of the ways to be able to accept constructive criticism is to we want to learn how to sit and reflect. You know, if somebody's helping someone else, listen to that advice. Perhaps you may catch some strays. Not like, you know what I'm saying. Not like they said your name, but I can relate to that, right? So we have also the statement here, the Islamic process of marriage. Okay, so some of these steps here. Choosing a spouse focus on faith, character, and compatibility rather than superficial attraction. Now let's talk about that for a second. Faith, character, and compatibility rather than superficial attraction. So I know we're all Muslim here, right? So we don't want to do stuff like, what's your sign? Okay? We don't want to do stuff like, where you from? Like where somebody's from. I know I pick on Philly a lot, but I be joking. I really do. I really joke. I'm really joking when I say that. Okay? But you don't want to put superficial things on what will attract you to someone. Okay? The community and proposal process. So the proposal involves family and community to ensure clarity, transparency, and emotional boundaries. Okay? So that's a sign. I say when people say red flags, too much stuff being done in secret. Okay? You don't want to tell everybody all your business, but if you're courting someone, there should be at least a couple of people that know. Who should know? If 2 people are courting, who else should know? The wali should know. Okay?
She know more about you than she know until, you know what I'm saying? Because
Exactly.
she's gotta read you.
Yeah, the wali should know. Anybody else should know?
This is the person recording.
the person you're courting, they should know, right? Okay. People that are invested into that person should know that you're courting them, right? So these things are important. And also the wali, a lot of times what I notice is the role of wali has to be respected and not diminished. Okay? What's the role of wali? The wali protects the bride's interests. Premarital counseling discusses expectations and responsibilities. Okay? That's not enough as far as what the wali does. Protects the bride's interests. Right? The wali protects the bride, period. Right? What's he protecting her from? Any kind of foolishness. Right? Okay. So if the woman don't want no wali or is not listening to anybody for who she's selecting for a husband, that's not good. Right? This is not my opinion. This is wisdom from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? The woman has to have a wali. And I'm of the opinion that it don't matter how old she is or how many divorces she's been through, how many children she has, you need to have a wali or wakil when looking for a spouse. Because that man, if he's a wali that is doing his due diligence, is going to protect that woman from foolishness, any harm, or anything that's going to cause difficulty in marriage. Be able to read these things. Okay? And that's very important. Also remember to pray about your decision. Pray istikhara. Istikhara prayer seeks divine guidance before the nikah, which formalizes the marriage with rights and responsibilities. Okay? You want to pray on it. Something don't seem right, something don't feel right. It could be something in you telling you not to marry that person. And it depends, right? So what's the reality of marriage? This is the last slide, and we'll have a discussion Q&A. Accountability, growth, and answering to Allah. Marriage is a trust and accountability. It's a sacred trust where spouses are accountable to Allah for their actions and efforts. Okay? I tell couples this very often. Very often. I believe I said it in my last khutbah. Okay? If you are more concerned about doing things that's displeasing to Allah more than you are concerned about displeasing your spouse, you'll be a better spouse. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay? Because a lot of times in the office back there, most problems with marriage come from character issues. Where me just saying fear Allah, and if both of the couple hear me, their marriage will start working out. Because we need to get to that point, and then we're not worried about displeasing your spouse. Okay? So I don't have to go into any details when I'm talking about character issues, right? Okay? I'll just say one, not a detail, but I put it like this. A married man, us married men, we already know what's inappropriate with another woman that's not your wife, right? You already know what's inappropriate. If you're already married, what are some things you would do to avoid being around women of the opposite gender? Myself, for example, at work, don't be by yourself with a woman. That's right. At work, I don't even like get in the elevator. You know, if it's a woman in there by herself, I take the stairs. I just get used to taking the stairs. You know. What else? Any other thing?
Well, the sooner is that you look at you can't look at them hard. Look at them hard. Women.
So don't be staring and stuff. Right.
Because you're supposed to
Lower your gaze.
Right. So if you were married, you would like avoid staring at women, things like that. Not be around women. Don't be with women alone. Right. You married man, right? You don't have a lot of female friends. You know, you don't got nobody calling saying, "Hey, big head," and you married, right? Right. Well, this is what I'm saying. The things that you know to do, you already know to do these things. The things that you know to do as a married man are the things that you should be also doing while you're single. Right? So this is what I'm talking about. That'll help your marriage. We need to raise the God consciousness, obedience to Allah, and that'll make you a better husband, wife, all those kind of things. Okay? Rights, responsibilities, and harmony. We want to clearly define the rights and responsibilities, ensure justice, mercy, and cooperation between spouses for harmony. And we also want to appreciate the spiritual growth in marriage. So challenges in marriage are opportunities for patience, kindness, and spiritual development. Because it's not going to be perfect. Marriage is not going to be perfect. Okay? Couples argue, people go through things, people find out stuff, right? But if both are sincere, things can be worked out or not. Because we know in Islam, is it a sin to divorce? No, it can be, but it's not. It's generally not a sin to divorce. Islam is a religion where divorce is permissible. Am I right? But of all the permissible things, it's the one thing that Allah said He does not like. Okay, why does Allah not like divorce?
Probably because of what's causing the divorce was the sin that you committed. Or
Could
the
be.
action, and you're also not giving. It's almost, well, I won't say it's almost like suicide, but you're losing your understanding and following and belief in love to go in this direction. In a sense, I mean, I changed what I was trying to say, trying to be tactful, but basically, the result of divorce is a symptom or final action of all the other wrong things you did leading up to that, that took you away from Allah, in a sense.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, it could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
You know, people. A lot of times when we answer this kind of question, it the way it's answered comes from a lot of prior experience or what it could possibly be. Right? Yes, sir.
Not in all circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
like blanket. In the majority of it, I would say it's looked down upon because you stop putting in the work. I think you let go by just giving up. You didn't put in the extra work because, like you said, it could be a character thing. It could be
Right.
character can be worked on. So did you try to work on it or did you just give up? I think that was the main thing to it, is that
Right.
a lot of people just kind of give up and don't even question to try to work on it. Because in the situation we are in the world today, it's anything you look at, everything is here today, gone tomorrow. It's that quick. And people don't think about God when they're thinking about that because you're using your feelings against each other versus talking about God, like you're saying.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Wa alaikum salam.
I think it really all boils down to ignorance. Basically, if you familiarize yourself with your deen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what He teaches us, how to be Muslims, you would be more concerned with the rights due to the husband and the rights due to the woman,
Right.
which are more important than your individual rights to your parent. So I think that's where a lot of things get cracked up.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I want to piggyback off what you said. So, the problem is a lot of people get married, they're really not ready for marriage because of self-gratification. And they just want a partner. So, first of all, you have to take that serious. And what happens is when you first go into marriage, it's like almost before I even open lines, almost, I'm like, what is a deal breaker? If you find out whatever the deal breaker is and you know constantly in your mind, and you tell her yours, you tell yours that you're not going to do that, everything else you're supposed to talk about, everything you're supposed to work out, because that's not the deal breaker. So when you say like, well, we gave up, when you weren't ready for marriage, because was that a deal breaker? No, figure it out.
Right.
That's how serious you gotta take it. I tell people like this: you gotta treat if you have a business, you gotta treat a marriage like a business and a business like your marriage. When you try and work on a business, hey, baby, I gotta go. You working so hard diligently to make sure it's successful. Now you got employees who's making all these millions of dollars, but you're not gonna invest in your marriage.
Right.
You have to treat a marriage like a business like a marriage, and then you can be successful because you want your business to be successful. That's your marriage, inshallah. So you have to really go in wholeheartedly and be serious. And sometimes you might be young, man, but I gotta get married. What that's your mouth? Allah is testing. He says in the Quran all the time, be patient. I'm telling y'all from experience. I married, I can tell how many times I've been married, but I learned, and guess what?
Yeah.
Two things you're married for. And this would be a whole other thing. I
Right.
want to sit down and talk to you. I want to have some where I can really give you some information. You're married for two things and two things only. For the heart and the mind. Looks, money, all that is going to go as you get older. You see what I'm saying? People want to change looks. They go lose their teeth. They go get sick. But if you ever heard an old couple, I love him, but he always had a good heart. Marry for the heart and the mind. Don't worry about nothing else. And inshallah, everything else is going to come in place. Everything else is extra because they're going to be tied to the master. They're going to be tied to Allah. But if you don't marry for the heart and mind, you're going to get what you're looking for. And then when the money run out, the looks run out, the status run out, the marriage going to run out.
If it was all about the money, looks, and status, right?
I've seen that over the years. I've seen it where as soon as the sister, and I'm not talking about sister, oh man, look at his car. You already looking at the children. You're not looking at the person. You, oh man, he got money. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen brothers like, oh, she look good. Why you looking at her looks? Go into her heart. Go into her mind.
Right. So you have this last line, honoring Allah's guidance brings divine support and purpose to the marital partnership. Okay? So basically, doing the right thing before Allah brings blessings on your marriage. Okay? Not trying to do all the tricks and things like this, and just being sincere before Allah. And this is the best advice for a marriage. I've been married for 23 years, and I usually don't like to give like advice because everybody is different. People have their different personalities and things like that. There's no sweeping code to how to stay married. Okay? Because I don't know. Right? What's the secret? It ain't no secret. That's the thing. It's no secret. You want to stay married? Because I wanted to stay married. My wife wanted to stay married. And Allah knows best. I never did anything crazy. We both never did anything that was so crazy or out of pocket. And just genuinely being sincere about your marriage and wanting to work through. I can't give no expert. I'm not. It's just, and I think that's good that I present it that way because there's no secret, because what might have worked for somebody didn't work for another marriage or whatever it might have been, right? So inshallah, let's take questions. Let's do Q&A. Get some snacks. Yes, sir. Oh, that's between me and my wife, brother. No, sir. We on YouTube and stuff. Yeah.
I want to know what your heart seeks, like in your marriage specifically.
Mm-hmm.
What is an example? I could use basically kind of insight on what you look at the most about your woman.
Okay. So, how old are you?
I just turned
21.
21.
Okay. You grew up with both your parents?
With my mom at first and my father.
So your stepfather or?
My father. My mother passed at 15. So
Okay. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Okay. So you went to your father after?
yeah, he was always around the whole time.
Okay. Sometimes the blessing of marrying someone that's from a similar, they don't have to be the same, I'm not talking about same race or anything like that, but a similar background to where you both in the same trajectory. Okay? Because sometimes when people get married, if they get married young, I got married at 21 years old. Sometimes when people get married young, if you don't lock in, then you end up growing apart. If you lock in, you end up growing together. Okay? So that's, like I said, I'm not an expert, but I'm saying that one thing is good. So like, if you start off in a marriage, you don't ever want to like disconnect from your spouse. You always stay locked in and connected so that you don't start drifting. Does that make sense? Yeah. So any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's both a question and a statement.
Okay.
Because I'm visibly Muslim, right? I get a lot of other women at work coming to me, and they'll say to me, "Oh, my boyfriend is Muslim," and I'm like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
And it's like kind of shocking to me.
Right.
But what is more surprising is the amount that is happening.
It's a lot, huh?
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then when I say, okay, but I mean, this is not a usual thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, oh yeah, but you know, Muslim men are so much better. They're all about family. And I said, okay, and I've been giving out Quran like you won't believe. I say, read.
Well, you know something funny. Now, I want you to finish your point, but something funny that I've seen happen is the Muslim man dating a non-Muslim woman. She reads the Quran and now becomes interested in Islam, and because of that, they break up. Yeah.
I've been getting really concerned.
Uh-huh.
What is going on? Like, why specifically are you, and there's one young woman in particular who, like, her thing was she wanted to find a Muslim man. That is a really weird thing for you to be doing when you're not Muslim. Like,
Right.
why are you looking
Well, I'll tell you for that part. Is that part of the question?
Yes.
Okay. And this is on YouTube, so the cat is out the bag. Word has gotten out that for a non-Muslim woman living in America, the fastest way for her to find marriage is for her to look for either look for a Muslim man or for her to take Shahada herself and seek marriage. Okay? So I'm not saying any names, so I don't want y'all looking at people funny for the next marriages that come up. But it's a trend that's coming up. A lot of non-Muslim women taking Shahada and then seeking marriage almost immediately after Shahada because the word has gotten out. If you want to get married, find a Muslim man. If he's the kind of Muslim man that'll date a non-Muslim woman, fornicating and that thing, the hope is that he has a conscience before long and says, hey, I think maybe we should go ahead and get married. If she takes a Shahada and then seeks marriage, she'll be able to find marriage quicker than if she were to remain non-Muslim and go dating and things like that. Because a lot of non-Muslim men will do what? They'll date you for 5-10 years and never marry you. Even have babies with you, all that kind of stuff, never marry you. So the word has gotten out. So what can we do about this?
Education.
Education. I've had to warn a couple of brothers because they, young brothers want to get married, and then it's a new Shahada sister. Maybe she took Shahada 6 months ago. Maybe she took Shahada, very quickly, start looking for a husband very quickly. I'm like, hey, brother, come here for a second. Just want to let you know, the word's gotten out.
Right.
You want to check on the sincerity of this sister, because she could just be looking for a husband the fastest way she can.
Her heart's not actually in Islam.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Yeah.
Explain to them also about how you are coming across some of this information because of the counseling that you're doing.
Yes.
With these new marriages, because everybody in the room doesn't go here.
Right.
Ash-Shaheed. So some of you are aware that other imams will marry a couple just because they asked them to marry them. Here,
Right.
the imam puts you doing 3 individual, at least a minimum of 2 to 3
Mm-hmm.
individual counseling sessions before he agrees to marry you.
Yes. So that's how I find out about these things,
That's how
right?
he finds out about these things.
Yeah. I'm at right about 50%.
Right.
And I think, with the last couple, it might be around 40% now. But so around 50% actually leads to marriage when we get to the premarital counseling stage. And that's because questions they never asked each other, I'm going to ask.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's where these scenarios come and things like that. We check on these type of scenarios. But a lot of times what's going on is people are meeting online.
Yeah.
And that also causes
Yeah.
where you don't get to know somebody by actually seeing how they move about
Right.
at the masjid or even outside of the masjid because y'all met online.
Because you met on. Actually, we spoke about that in
Yeah.
one of our sessions, one of these
Mm-hmm.
monthly programs. Because someone asked, "What about that?" They asked about the meeting online.
Mm-hmm.
If you meet, and this is primarily for the sisters, if you meet a brother online, your wali is not there with you online.
Yeah.
Going back and forth, interacting with the brother.
He's getting access. He's getting access to you
Yeah.
before a
Yeah.
wali is even.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So be mindful for your own safety. Be mindful of that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you how you would cut down a lot of in and out Islamic marriages. 'Cause I'm from Pillars, Mass.
Mhm.
Imam John, he would not marry you now unless you go down there and get that certificate. Because
The
then
the,
you know
the
you're
state
serious.
marriage license.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's when you know you're serious. And
Mhm.
I don't care if you're 10, people like to say 10, but 20, 30 years old,
Yeah.
you would know if that person's going to be serious and because you're going to have so much invested into the marriage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you have a car, you have a business, it's tied in.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Because now it's not going to be that we know each other. Stop the 3 to 6 months and think you know somebody. I'm telling y'all, you need to go at least 9 months to a year. Take that person to a family reunion and you go to their family reunion.
Yeah. You married a family.
Sit in the back and she knows everybody's business,
Yeah.
but she's going to read that female.
Right.
She's going to read that dude like, okay,
Yeah, and
they want to tell you the real.
So
I'm serious.
the last lecture I did, a brother challenged me on that about the counseling and how long somebody should go from courting to marriage. Right? You say 9 months to a year.
At least minimum 9 months a year.
The brother challenged me on that because of looking at the seerah, how people got married quickly. Well, understand, they knew each other.
Yes.
It was it's a much different era, but they knew each other. I got married at 21 years old. My courting process was only a few months, but why? We known each other since we were like 14, 15 years old. Both families know each other. That's not the same as people just met online and you want to get married in 3 months. It's not the same like that. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And what happens to that approach when it's polygamy?
Okay. I need you to elaborate your question because I know every time that P word comes up, what are you asking? What happens to that approach?
Yes,
Okay.
we're saying that, you have more invested when you go downtown and get the documentation that the state is going to recognize you as a married couple.
Mhm.
Yet when you're in polygamy, you don't have an opportunity to get those same papers.
Okay, that's what you're talking about. Okay.
It's not that weighty.
Yeah, usually first wife has that state marriage license,
Right.
And
And
the second wife not gonna have that.
Say some of that.
Yes.
So going in, that's the whole thing. That's okay. So is he going to practice polygamy or not? Right. But if they're not, what's the difference? They can go down and get it. But if
Yeah.
you're going in, all of a sudden, I want to practice polygamy. That's something you got to talk about anyway. Some people
Absolutely.
don't.
That's why the premarital counseling is important. We want to talk about is that something he's on now? Find out now. Right? Yes. Well, yeah. So to answer your question, you're right. A man cannot have 2 or 3 or 4 state marriage licenses. So usually if they're going to practice polygyny, if they have a state marriage license, the first wife has that, and then the second wife, third or fourth will not have a state marriage license. But I would encourage, don't just go and just get married, have a ceremony, and don't have nothing, right? We do Islamic marriage contracts here and Islamic marriage certificates. Okay, so that at least you have something on paper before Allah. And also, what we also do is on the Islamic marriage contract, we've gotten them notarized because the judges in this county, right? They may not recognize the woman as a wife, or they may not recognize the couple as a married couple. But if you have a contract with witnesses signed, and you both signed, and it's notarized, what is in that contract it stands in court. Okay, so the way that contract is written, so she might not be recognized as a wife, but she has rights based on the contract. Okay, so it's those kind of things. Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna say, I'm aware of a few people who have a business contract, so that it's like a business.
Mm-hmm.
But within that, they have, medical insurance.
Yes.
They have all sorts of insurance.
Yes.
They're entitled to,
Mm-hmm.
on the death of the
Yes.
partner, they're supposed to get X, Y, Z.
Yes.
So
That's
they
one of the
have
methods.
Actual contract.
Yes.
So they won't
Mm-hmm.
be saying anything.
That's one of the methods where some brothers that practice polygyny, they do that. For the second wife that's not able to have a state license, he puts her down as a employee of the business or business partner of the business. So health insurance and all that stuff is under the business, and she's got health insurance under the business, the way she's taken care of in that fashion. Okay, so that's one of the methods. Okay, we're not gonna spend too much more time on that. We okay? Because I tell you what, most people are not doing polygyny. So it comes up all the time, but most men are not. What we at, like 2% of men do polygyny? It's probably less than that. That's 2% is the worldwide number of men that do polygyny. So it's probably less than that. So we don't want to belabor that in the conversation. Y'all, is that fair for everybody? Was I about to get another polygyny question after that? Okay. Any other questions?
I
Yes,
just
sir.
like, I love what you're doing here. Inshallah, I'd like for us to actually dive in more deeper into the marriage.
Okay.
And talk about things to look for and how to know if a person has that vested interest in you. Because I tell a person like this, I said, you want somebody to look for somebody that can do something for you and not to you. Listen what I'm saying. When I say for you, sometimes people are like, oh man, you want somebody to take care of you. No, you want somebody to do something for you and not to you. Any man or woman can do something to any man or woman, sexually and all like that. That's for you. Anybody can do whatever. But what can to me? But what can you do for me? Can you build my spiritual, my mental state?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? How you gonna do that? Each spouse has to make sure that they're keeping their balance throughout the Mr. King, and they're going to the masjid, and they're praying and doing those things you can do for me.
Right.
Keep me insane, keep me sane.
Right.
Because I've seen a lot of marriages that they really didn't go in like helping each other.
Right. So
But
that's
the key.
that's a good thing. A lot of the single people need marriage coaching to understand some of these things. So I'm encouraging us. So like we got a lot of sisters. They come and they ask for a wali, but we wanna have everybody understand, not just the sisters, but brothers who are walis. You're gonna have to firstly, we need more coaching for single people, because there's things that I know for some of the single people that come to me and tell me what they're looking for. We gotta bring some of these things down to get to a more realistic expectation for marriage, and also to talk about these things. That's why this is important, to talk about what you should be looking for marriage, qualities looking for a spouse, and also those details to look at and think about. Okay, that's a good point to bring up. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
What would you say to the overall thinking on social media and also all over towards women that says, okay, what you really want is your peace. You don't want to get married because men are going to cause confusion in your life. You have your job, you have your house, you have your car,
Right.
you have all of that, and you want to maintain your peace. If you get married, they're just going to cause confusion. You can have your child without a husband.
Right.
You don't need all of that. What can you say on that? Because that is kind of like, it's sweeping, and you hear,
Yeah.
young women particularly is my concern. You hear them with that, and it's like,
Yeah, the number one problem with that, and it's also the same thing. What people are suffering from social media, they were suffering before from newspapers and from magazines and from television, and that's what causes delusion, right? So they'll show you a picture of a woman who perhaps, because I'm not picking on women, but you mentioned for women wanting their peace and don't want to seek marriage and this and that, but what they don't tell you statistically is about how many women are living that type of life, and they are severely depressed, miserable, having psychotherapy needs, things like that. Statistically, right? I can't say, I'm saying statistically because I don't know anybody who, like single women who are severely depressed and miserable, right? But when we have this thing, when we know the pattern of what Allah requires, we can lean on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking of us. At least we can lean on that for someone who says that they're Muslim and a woman, right? I don't know what you can say to a non-Muslim that says, I want my peace in this. I don't know what you can say,
yeah, that's,
right?
yeah, I just don't, because I see it affecting
Uh-huh.
young Muslim women.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, that's not your narrative. That's not. But because you live in the world,
Right.
obviously you hear it.
Well, living in a Western society as we are, this is Western society, right? A couple of signs of that is one, population decline. Okay? The more people delay marriage, the less children are going to be born every generation. Okay? If they're delaying it, and then, also the other issues that, problems in society that happen when there's less of the family structure. Okay? And so these things are happening, right? You have more, like I think it's Japan, or it might be China, where they have too many single women, right? And it happened because they wanted to seek like Western lifestyle, and it caused a overflow of too many single women going into the system. The system, I mean, like where the government has to step in and help to take care of them. Okay? So no matter how much money you got, people get old, right? And it's a burden more so on the government when you get old and the government has to step in and take care of you because you don't have family like grandchildren and a spouse and people that care about you, yeah. Yes, sir.
Wait, first of all, just tell people to stop looking at social media and everything. That's the reality. But the other thing, and I study like the government and all like that, what they're doing, they actually bringing back what the welfare and the Section 8 system done. They divided the family and they made what after they got the father out the house, then they make the women in power, and then that's why it's more money out there for business for women or jobs for them,
Yeah.
so they can make it seem like, hey, I don't need a man. and that's where they at today.
A lot of them don't.
Yeah, well, but psychologically, still, everybody, half our demons marriage, the other half is
Right.
demons. But at the end of the day, if you make 100,000 and, you know, you got kids, you got a nice house and another, like, what I need a man for? You know, you get caught up in that thing. So at the end of the day, that's what they want us to do, that's to break up.
So we should avoid that.
Yeah,
We should avoid the language that seeps in, even for the Muslims. Like, I don't need a man.
we need it.
The
You know, I mean,
the results of not having enough families that are building up our society, right?
Well, think about it. Say right now, nobody get married for 10 years. So we got the Muslims not getting married for 10 years.
We won't even have no students in the school.
Come on. I'm just saying.
Right.
Then on top of the other stuff, what they're promoting the same sex,
Right.
there will be some of the other Muslims, non-Muslims come Muslim, because I'm a convert. So now, there we go. Where are we at? The elite's still going to live. They still going to have babies.
Right.
You know, they're making all this stuff and making money off ours. Back.
We have a couple.
So what?
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Right behind you. She'll go first. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just think it should be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
The men, because I've been hearing a lot of picking on the sisters though, but we have to dig a little bit into the brothers too.
Get them. Go ahead.
If we going to do it, we gotta, you gotta be fair. Now I'm not saying what anybody in here said was incorrect, but I'm saying we gotta put a little more on the brothers too, because I don't think it's more so the sisters are afraid or protecting their peace
Right.
or whatever the case may be. Some cases may be like that.
Right.
But the brothers have to bring peace as well. You have some sisters that have been in situations where the brother took away
Peace.
the peace that they
Right.
worked so hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be traumatizing a little bit.
It can be, yeah.
And that's not to say every brother is the same, because they're not.
Mm-hmm.
But that brother that's seeking marriage should prepare himself to be the type of husband that he need to be. Like if he's preparing for marriage, he needs to mentally prepare himself, financially prepare himself, because you're never going to fully be prepared. But you start getting there,
Marriage and babies, it ain't never the right time, right?
Yeah, get into that space, and because you don't want to put it all on the sister, this sister, because that's when it becomes, well, I was ready for marriage, she wasn't, or
Right.
I was this and she wasn't. It shouldn't be it should just be a balance. Like either you working on yourself, you working towards marriage. This sister's working on herself, she's working towards marriage, and then you work together.
So where we having the biggest problems are people that are motivated for marriage are not finding their same equal that's also motivated for marriage.
Correct. I think that's
Right.
where it is. It's the balance is all.
I had a young man, 26 years old, looking for marriage. He was looking for marriage ever since he was 21. It was very difficult for him. And he finally got married last year. Alhamdulillah. But watching him go through courting and then the reasons why sisters want to stop the courting process and things like that is rough.
It's discouraging.
Yeah. And it's the same on the opposite end. Young sister seeking marriage, and it's not a lot. If a young sister is like 21 years old, for example, or in the young 20s, it's not a lot of brothers in her age group that's eligible and looking, right? We just happen to have a 21-year-old brother in here, right? You're probably the youngest in the room, honestly. Yeah.
Hey man, I showed up.
And he didn't even plan on being here. He just showed up, right?
And I was like, let me go to a masjid.
All right.
First time coming to a masjid down Charlotte. Here I am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I actually do have an answer for hers.
Okay.
And I think the biggest problem with the men, from what I've seen from the outside looking in, is that we're not taught how to deal with female emotions.
Okay.
And I think
We're not taught how to deal with female emotions?
Yeah, like, because
Uh-huh.
it's a part of, because I feel it's a part of providing and protecting. You got to protect our emotions too. And oh, my bad. And it's known that women, not all women, but more emotional than men are, right? Heightened emotions, right? So with that, we don't know how to deal with that.
So
A
you
young man coming
believe-
in, I'm saying a lot of young men coming
Yeah.
into a relationship with a woman don't understand their emotions at all, don't even get it. She might cry one day and she's actually happy. But you'll be looking like, what did I do? You don't know what you did wrong, but it's
The number
not
one
about that.
thing would be to learn patience, because you're not gonna master it. You're never gonna master it, right? Like you could take a 6-month class on husbandry and still not get there. And
Studying women ain't gonna get you.
studying women,
That's
Yeah.
true, but not like you said earlier. Everybody's different, so I'm not talking about all women in general. I'm talking about you and your woman, like
Okay.
you two by yourselves. You
Right.
got to learn that person's emotion, because at the end of the day, they're not here to deal with our emotions. We have to deal with theirs. We go out in the world and do all this stuff to protect and provide
Right.
for them, right? But that's when the opposite side, when you were talking about the women to men, to where
Right.
we coming in the house, that's where our peace comes from, coming into you. We're coming home to you to get our
yeah.
peace.
Well,
But
I'll tell you this. I don't mean to cut you off. I'll tell you this. When I counsel couples, the main thing is about respecting each other, being sincere about what your intentions are, and doing the right thing. Okay? That's what actually makes marriages more cohesive. It's not even understanding your spouse better or any of that kind of stuff. Because if you didn't understand what your spouse was saying or going through, if you yelled at her or cussed, that's why y'all in my office. Not because, you couldn't handle her emotions or things like that. So it's like the best thing to do is have patience with each other and focus on being good as a good person and being good to each other. That's without all of the intimate details of it, those 3 things are what's really going to keep couples together. If you want to be a good husband, focus on being a good person, a good dude, right? I got so many counseling sessions, people done cussed each other out and all kind of stuff, and it ain't had nothing to do with Islam or trying to understand her or these things, and I'm just talking from experience. But I like what you said, but sometimes it really boils down to things that have more simplicity to it. Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanted to say, I grew up with 2 brothers too. I think society deems it to where men can't be in tune with their emotions. So even if it's like women are emotional and you don't really understand where their emotions is coming from, but I think it should be a balance, as she said.
Yes.
We both go through things, different things emotionally and stuff like that. But if you're not emotionally intelligent, you're not
Right.
going to understand your emotions or her emotions. So, yeah.
Right. And you is emotional intelligence something you can learn? If I'm 21 years old, can I take a class on emotional intelligence?
Well, no, I guess it's through experience.
It's through
right,
experience.
yeah, but
So you got to be, as Muslims, we got to be ones who are paying attention, reading from Allah's creation, having patience, and then you grow in that wisdom
Right.
and emotional intelligence and things that you need. So it's like it's difficult to expect like a young person, maybe they're 22, 23, to have the wisdom of a 55-year-old and they're newlywed, right? So they're just gonna have to be patient with each other, right? Man, if I could go back to when I got married at 21, but between 21 and 25, man, lot of patience, right? And that's for both. If you ask my wife, right? Right? I was something else, but it takes that patience. right? So I wish I knew then what I know now, but I didn't. Yes, sir.
My question is what is more important with finding the one for you? Is it how she raises her children, or how she is with you?
Well, sometimes you'll have to use, because you're a young man, so sometimes you have to use wisdom on how she was raised, because some things are going to come natural, and if it comes natural, it would be from a natural example of how her mother is, right? It would come from a natural example of how her mother is, right? So some of the things, like in counseling young couples, I look at certain things. One brother, if I'm not saying no names, I think it's fair, right? Is that fair if I'm not saying no names? One brother, he was courting a sister, and she answered the phone, and it was her mother. The young sister was Muslim, Ash-Shaheed, and her mother, non-Muslim, called, and he watched her cuss out her own mother, right? And I was like, brother, you better run. Because if she'll cuss out her own mama, she going to cuss you out, your mama out, right? And so things like that, you look for those things. If somebody can go from cold to hot in a split second, and it's not out of necessity, like somebody that's in working security, you look for those type of like emotional balance type things, right?
Okay. I also have a question is, what is like the most important trait to look for? I think my answer would be compromission between couples. That being the most important thing, to be able to compromise with each other. But I may be wrong, so I'm asking you, what would be the most important trait?
The ability to compromise?
Yeah.
Well, I would say you want to look for things like femininity, right? A natural ability to diffuse, with femininity in a potential spouse, right? All the things that you would desire in a Muslim woman, you look for those things, and then you mentioned like compatibility. What'd you say?
Being compatible with each other? What is the most important feature, or not feature, but trait or characteristic that the couple
certain things have to, like, you know how some people say opposite attract, or compatibility, right? Some of those things are important, but I say the most important things are if both of you love Allah at the same pace, then that's better. Like if you're a lax Muslim, like, I pray 5 times a day, but maybe half the time I pray Dhuhr 10 minutes before I pray Asr. Or, I'm a little lax with it. If you have a sister that's very, very disciplined with it, you're either going to have to step up to match her, or if you know you not going to be able to hang, leave that sister in mercy, right? Because it's going to cause problem.
Right.
And that's even if y'all like the same stuff. You got compatibility, but your level of, religiosity is a real thing in Islam when you're choosing a spouse.
Right.
Okay? Some people have seen it work out, but it's never like, I'm talking like, we see it like with non-Muslims, right? You might have an aunt or something like that. She's in church every week, and then your uncle run the streets, right? That don't work in Islam. Right? So yeah, that's some advice, especially for young people, right? Because a lot of times, older people, they're stuck in their ways. That is a common thing, right? But younger people have, you got different friend groups, and you got habits that you probably will grow out of, but you might need a little more patience with the younger person, right?
Okay.
Here.
Hope that answered your question.
Well, first and foremost, she supposed to stick with the sunnah.
What'd you say?
Supposed to stick with the sunnah.
Stick with the sunnah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Want for want for her just what you want for yourself.
Yes.
And always, if we stick with that, we'll everything will be all right. It'll come together.
Okay.
You know, if you
Alhamdulillah.
if you preach that character, that's what she gonna have.
Yes.
Stick with the sunnah.
Well, I say this. We talk about it's good that we talk about stick with the sunnah. We want to do our best in being Muslims, practicing Islam. But I'll just tell you this. We say the right things to seek in marriage and things like that. If you just don't like somebody, you just don't like them. Can we keep that honest? Because we don't want to be dishonest about it. If you just don't like the brother, then
Muslim or non-Muslim, that's an understanding.
right.
You know.
Same thing. If you just don't like the sister, I mean, it's what it is, right? That happens. We're human. As a matter of fact, it's in the hadith where a sister, she was married. She didn't like her husband, but he loved her. It's in the seerah. He loved her, but she didn't like him. And she asked for a divorce. And she went to the Prophet ﷺ to ask about this divorce. And she said that she feared Allah if she were to stay married, that it would tarnish her heart because of ingratitude. Because she knew she didn't like her husband, but she didn't want to be ungrateful to Allah, so she was asking for a divorce so that she wouldn't continue being married to somebody she didn't like, and then in turn be ungrateful to Allah. And the Prophet said, you can be divorced, just give him back what he gave you, right? Give him that mahar back. And it was, if I'm correct, he gave her a plot of land, a garden. So I guess that lets you know how much she didn't like him, right? A garden? Give that garden back, and you can go off and have your divorce. So that's something that we got to understand with the reality of the situation, right?
Right.
Okay?
And going back to something that you said earlier in reference to having yourself right, doing right, being right, or what have you, or like what the sister was saying, getting yourself prepared for marriage. Something that I used to say when we first started these sessions. Are you someone that you would marry?
Yes.
Are you exercising so that you can lose a little weight? Are you reading so that you can be more versed in Islam? Are you coming to the masjid and volunteering and helping out so you can be seen and being active and investing in what you say you trust and believe in? Are you coming to the extra classes that we have, like when you were doing Islam 101 and the program, so that you can learn about your deen? Are you learning extra surahs to extend how you offer your prayers? And then and making yourself someone that someone would want to marry, as opposed to just saying what you want in a spouse. Because that's what we do a lot of times. We say what we want, but we're not looking at ourselves and improving who we are. We're fine. I'm fine just how I am. You should love me just how I am, when who you are is not even somebody you would want.
So you saying that in such a nice, poetic way. You saying it in such a nice, poetic way. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
So if you make yourself more of what the average of the opposite sex would want, you give yourself a better chance, right? For men and for women, right? So can we get the cat out of the bag?
Yes.
What do most women want?
Tall.
But they want their husband to at least be. They
6'3".
want. You say that, but a lot of women, if you ask them, they want their husband to at least be taller than them.
Taller.
Like if she's 5 feet, can the brother be 5'4" or 5'5"?
Actually, what I've heard is no. He still needs to be 6.
Okay. What else? What else? Money?
Have some money.
And that's understood. You don't want
Right?
to go in.
You don't want somebody, you don't want to, somebody homeless or
Yeah, right,
not severely below lifestyle
right.
to, you know. So you said height, money,
Knowledgeable.
knowledgeable. So let's switch.
Learn
Let's
how to treat a woman, honestly. I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you, a lot of that stuff, it's respect. The respect.
Respect.
brings love. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And if you treat a sister with respect, and sometimes you don't have a lot, but they see good in you.
right.
They'll work with it, then they might say, oh man, I didn't know you was thinking about this. She might have some money way aside. She ain't never told you, but because you built that bond, y'all come, babe, you know what, you just kept talking about you needed 5 to 10,000. Let's do this. And you know, where I'm gonna get it from. I mean, you would never know.
Never know.
At the end of the day, you respect her and she see that you really love her and you love the religion. That's gonna bring the love together. It's gonna bring
And what
But that's
what
sincerity. That you
Yeah.
gotta be sincere with what you're doing and saying.
what do the men want?
Peace.
peace.
Is that what they?
I'm gonna tell you, I don't care what you have, peace and respect, and you gotta have a good heart.
What do men want? What else do men want?
Something they can show off.
Really? Something they can show off?
Yeah.
Well, as Muslim, we don't want to show off our wife. No.
You know. But you said what do men want?
What? Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Well, you know, he means it's like a.
He want to be attractive.
In order to be attractive.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, you want her.
Peace.
You want the average man that's working out in the world in a non-Muslim society, dealing with hell, doesn't want to come home to hell.
Okay.
So he wants peace in his home and respect in what he's dealing with and understanding. But then again, going back to like what the sister was saying, or like a couple of sisters have said, he has to understand how to do that, also reciprocate that
Right.
also to her. He has to be able to have a peaceful place. He has to be a peaceful person for her to want to be in peace, because she's going to actually reflect what environment she's in.
Yeah.
So if he's not providing a peaceful environment, he can't expect to come home to a peaceful environment.
Okay. Do older men like younger women?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. A lot of times from what I'm hearing, when I hear them discussing and talking about things, what I hear that they don't say is that they're remembering who they were.
Who's remembering who they were?
The men.
The men. Okay.
Remembering who they were, and they want a sister that matches that. Not realizing that they're overweight and decrepit and bent over
Okay.
and crazy
Right.
now, and they are not the guy they used to be, and like I'm practically 60.
Right.
I'll never be this brother again.
Right.
Or this brother.
Right.
Where I was. I look for. I'm 60. But I'll be 60 on my next birthday. I'll be 60. Yes, sir. But I remember when I was this.
Me too.
So when I
Yeah.
mean, I'm married, but if I was single and I'm looking for a sister, I want a sister that matches when I was these two guys. And that's wrong for me to think like that, because that's
It's a little much.
it's
Right.
only how I see me. It's not how I'm actually seen.
Right.
So I have to actually understand who I actually am. And then find somebody that's compatible with that. He was talking about compatibility.
Right.
I'm not compatible with a 25-year-old sister.
Right.
So if my wife, God forbid, passes away and I'm looking for a new wife, I can't go looking for a 25-year-old sister just because I think, oh, that's what I think I deserve. And I say deserve because I've heard people say what they think they deserve when we have these sessions of what they think they want. I want this, and this.
Right.
But you are none of those things.
Right.
But you think that's what you deserve.
Well, you're not
You
gonna
don't actually understand who you actually are.
You're not gonna match. You're not gonna match everything.
No, you're not gonna match
Right.
everything. But you gotta. Well, for example, I can use myself as an example.
Okay.
I normally don't do that, but I can use myself as an example. And my situation balances is like when meeting my wife, I wasn't
Go ahead,
looking
go ahead.
for at the time. I was actually doing this program,
Oh,
trying to help other people get married. And in doing that, my wife saw what she liked in me. And on top of that, speaking of the age variations or whatever, she's
Right.
older than I am. So then you have the dynamic that is not necessarily what if somebody had asked me, I thought I would have wanted. Because I actually wasn't looking. I was focused on trying to help everybody else in the program.
right.
And then Allah blessed me with a sister that saw me for who I was, saw what I was doing, saw that I was on the security team at the masjid, saw that I was helping out at the masjid, saw that I'm here helping clean up, saw that I'm on a program trying to help other people get married, and those things were attractive for her. When I wasn't
You
throwing
speaking
those
you
things
speaking the
at
truth
her.
because she right in here, so
Yeah,
you
straight.
know you speaking
Right
the
there.
truth.
Right. And then, and then when I say that Allah blessed me with what I needed, even though I wasn't looking for it, and I know you have the mic, you're waiting on to have a question.
Oh, you go ahead.
But like I say, I've had 5 surgeries, and my wife has been there taking care of me and looking after me. Whereas if I'd have had that, looked for that 25-year-old sister when I was 40, thinking that that's what I needed,
You'd have
and
been
then
stuck,
I got
brother.
sick, and she don't have a nurturing nature, she'd have been gone, and I'd have just been sick, or laid up in the bed somewhere. So you have to keep in mind, and you have to, as Muslims, we have to completely submit and understand that Allah knows better than we do. And that Allah has for you already in place, whether you know it or not, what's best for you. And if you can then agree and understand that that's the case, and then say, okay, Allah, then let me work on me. Let me improve me.
That's right.
So that I will qualify for who you have for me. It'll work out a lot better.
So after
And I'm
you,
now going on 10 years of being married.
that's right.
That wonderful sister.
Alhamdulillah, takbir.
Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar.
Now after you get married, do you continue working on you?
Yes, you should.
That's right.
You should.
You don't let it go.
You can't say, okay, I'm married now. We's married now, like they said in the movie, and don't do nothing else. Because, like the brother said, you're going to get older. You're going to lose some teeth.
Right.
You're going to lose some hair. Some hair is going to gray. So you have to continue to progress in your character, being your emotions, your attitude, your studies, your practice, and your health, to travel along that age that you're continuing to grow into.
Yep.
And when because it should not be unusual. And we know in our community, our lady imam, him and his wife were married for 50 years, 50 plus years. No, longer than that. Imam Khalil and his wife.
They've been married a long time.
They've been married,
for 50. I think it was 56 years.
It's like 56 years before they passed away a couple years ago, for those of you who don't know the two of them. But that takes work, that takes patience, that takes loving Allah, that takes staying within your deen, and they grew together in that direction. And necessarily didn't like each other when they met because they went to rival high schools. So, but they built and grew together, and with the blessing of Allah, they stayed on the Sirat al-Mustaqim and journeyed together for 56 years in marriage, and 7 children.
Yes.
So
Countless grandchildren. We lost count now.
Grandchildren and great grandchildren.
Yeah.
This brother has the mic. He had a question. I can shut up.
I just wanted to ask for like the people who found Islam later in life, and since we're talking about marriage, say you had a kid before you found Islam, how does that work with the marriage process coming into it?
You talking for yourself?
Yeah, like for myself, like I have a 3-year-old son. Right. I had him before I even knew.
You just gotta be transparent about it. If you're courting with a sister, that should be one of the first things you say. Okay. I got a son. We co-parent, right? And just move forward with that. Okay, because in marriage counseling, the question comes up of like, what role do you expect to play as a stepmother? Okay, what if something happens to the mother of his children, and he has to have full custody? If she makes a face about that, you might want to be like, I don't know, you know. So you measure those kind of things, okay? Realistically, it's not always the same if a man has children than if a woman has children, right? Because your son is your son. You got a son, right? Yeah. You are going to take care of your son.
Yeah, no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what people say, it is not the same you taking care of a child that's not your child. Okay? Hope ain't nobody getting mad at me for saying that, but that's the reality of situation. Okay? So if a brother marries a woman that has children, okay? In Islam, I know a lot of I haven't heard it from anybody here, but over the years, a lot of sisters will be like, you're supposed to marry the women with children to help take care of the children, right? Like it's nearly an obligation. Like you're a bad brother if you prefer the single sister with no kids over the sister with the children. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to marry the widows, right? But like I said, people gonna be mad. Should I do it, Atif?
Do it. Say it. Say it.
Okay.
Say it.
In my studies, I want to make sure that we have this clear, because one thing that's important not to do is to speak something false about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? So we don't want to have things like, the Prophet married women with children, right? If we look at the seerah, did the Prophet marry women with children? Yes. Did he marry divorced women and raise their children? No. Nobody jumped up here to get me? Okay? In Islam, in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if a woman divorced, if the children were of age to walk around and talk and do these things, the children went with their father. That was common Arab culture. If a woman, if they split, yeah, it's still like that. The children go. Oh, you definitely know better than I know. You from Morocco, yeah. The children go with the father, right? And so that was a common practice. If a woman wanted a divorce, if those children were not babies, they went with their father. So it was not a common thing for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to marry divorced women and also raise their children, adopt their children and raise them as his. So in Islam, we don't want to develop a culture of trying to make men feel bad if they don't want to marry a woman that's got more than one child or several children, and I want you to treat my children like they're your children. That's not it's alhamdulillah if a brother does that, but that's not an obligation of his to do. And it's not a natural thing to do for him to like, we were asking earlier, like, what do men want? A man doesn't wake up in the morning and stretch and be like, I'm so looking for, a sister with a bunch of kids so I can marry her and take care of her children. I'm surprised nobody came and jumped me yet. Yeah. I'm on YouTube.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah.
See, it's a big blessing, bros. Don't get scared of helping a sister or man.
Yeah, we don't want to be afraid of it. No, don't run from it.
But it's a
Yeah.
good lesson in that, because what happens is, especially the father's not around,
Mhm.
he's gone in jail, whatever situation is, and especially if it's a 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10-year-old, you raise him, and then that person
Yes.
actually becomes a Muslim. The other thing I want to say is real key. When you have kids, don't make your kids be a Muslim. Let Allah make them be a Muslim. Because you try and force, and I learned through my first son, and we bumped heads, and we almost fought. And he was born and raised Muslim, but I was like, man, you know, he wanted to go to the street, so I had to show him. But long story short, got phone arguing, my other 2 kids in the car, said, wherever you at, no guns, no dudes, me and you, we about to meet, because you got something on your chest talking about, you know, you want me to be a Muslim, I didn't want to be a Muslim. So what happened was, he didn't want to meet with me. So I left it alone. He talked 4 months. Long story short, Allah sent him 10 years in the penitentiary. Now when he get out, now he's practicing. But you see what I'm saying?
He had to go another way.
Going against the grain. So now I learned from that. Again, it's experience. He had to do 10 years for him to understand this is the way. He's out, now he's practicing, inshallah, you know what I'm saying? But we can't force these kids. If you marry somebody who's not Muslim, they become Muslim, but they got their kid, just practice, because eventually they're going to see it. They're going to see the peace in your house. They go to daddy's, go to mama's, yeah. When they come here, and then they're going to recognize, like, man, she's praying. They're going to fall in the sea, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. So you giving advice to a young man with the son. How old is he?
He's 3.
He's 3?
It's funny because he.
Okay,
what
alhamdulillah.
He said is he does
Yeah.
that though. Like when I go pray, he prays. He jumps on the mat, prays with me. It's
I'm
funny.
Yeah.
gonna back off you. Like me, I didn't force me and my kids to be Muslim, right? All 3 of my kids are Muslim. My oldest 3, and that was by choice. Alhamdulillah, right? So, and it felt like one of my sons, when he came to me, he was like, Mom, you know, I took my Shahada. He was so excited, and he was so happy, and I was like, you know, I really wanted to know why, because I didn't never force my kids. You know, my oldest son, I knew it was going to come natural on both sides of his family. It was, you know, there. So I wasn't shocked really with him. But when my second son came to me and he said, yeah, Mom, I took my Shahada. I feel good. It's a beautiful thing. And then now my daughter, she took her Shahada just by watching me. So she said, I don't believe that. So, and she's in another state, you know, that went to nursing school and all that. But she see how it worked for me, what it did for me, and the peace I got from it. Because, you know, your oldest kids grow up with you. So they see the transformation and they see where you were to where you are now. And why. And so my son said, yeah, Mom, you know, I always see you pray. I always did that. But, you know, I just really, because he's a Marine.
Okay.
We was in training and I seen all, you know, me and my brothers, we've been through so much together, through training, through years, and just training, this, that, and the third, and I see them, and they say, come on, come pray. And I said, I'm not Muslim, I didn't take my Shahada, and they gave me my Shahada, and now every morning, I'm not sitting to the side while they praying, and he said, now we all praying, and here, Mom, look at this video. He sent me a video, they in the desert, they praying, and it was so beautiful, right?
Yes.
And so he said, yeah, my sometimes when we out there, we all we got, and but we got Allah now. Now I got Allah, and so he said, my one brother, he was like, cause everybody in training at the time were from all over, different, different races and everything, and so he said. He came up to me, he said, boy, your name is you're Muslim. You got a Muslim name on your birth certificate. You was born Muslim. We're all Muslim, but your name is Mujahid.
Oh, man.
Your name is Jahid. What do you mean you're not Muslim? You are Muslim. He was like, yeah. He was like, Jahid, come on, it's time. And he was like, your brother name is Khalid. He was like, y'all are Muslim, like you.
Yeah.
He was like, even before your mom took her Shahada, you had a Muslim name at birth.
That's something a lot of us do, man.
It was
Yeah.
distant, so like it was
Yeah.
So he was so excited. So once again, you know, the kids don't force them. If you know Allah gonna bring them closer to, you know, things happen. I make dua for my kids. So in my dua, I ask Allah to keep my kids close, guide their footsteps, bring them closer to Him. You know, wherever the case may be. Even for the two that's not Muslim, the younger ones. You know what I mean? So inshallah, them seeing me, it'll come together. But like he said, do not force it. It's gonna happen, and when it happens, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. It's gonna be a
Inshallah.
beautiful thing.
Alhamdulillah, that's good.
Dawah is the first.
You giving dawah all the time.
Your individual practice.
Yes.
And people witnessing you as a Muslim be Muslim is the best dawah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you're, yeah.
Be a good Muslim,
Yeah.
right?
If you could be smoking, doing all that, like,
Well, yeah,
why am I stop doing
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Just saying Muslims.
Right. No, not just by title, but by your action, by your practice, by your what's called a dab. People actually see you do. Like I said, I'm older than most of y'all, except for maybe him.
And your wife has her hand up too. So.
Oh, okay. She always got her hand. Yeah, I know. I've been around a lot of non-Muslims or government people while working, and not understanding Islam. Their question would be, is your father a minister? Is your father a preacher? Is your father this?
I've gotten that a lot.
Because they don't know what it is they're seeing. They don't know that they're seeing Islam. They just know that they like what they see, which is actually a good form of dawah, because then once they realize what they saw and already liked was Islam, it changes the image that they have from watching the news. You know, because they have a terrible image of what a Muslim is by watching the news. And two things, and then also not finding out that I'm not with the Nation of Islam. Because the average American thinks everybody black is with the Nation of Islam when they find out they're Muslim.
All the black
they don't
Muslims.
know, all the black people are Nation of Islam. All the white looking or non-black looking Muslims are from the East. Is what people think.
Right.
And I've had more than a dozen people explain it to me like that, thinking that's what it is. And then even after explaining it to them, they still say, because I do a lot of security in the community.
But you do like them, don't you?
Thank the brothers from the Nation over there. I'm like, we are not the brothers from the Nation, you know.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
My observation is that there are a lot of young Muslim men and women, well, men and women of all ages who are Muslim. And I'm talking about non-light-skinned people. And they'll say, you know, there are hardly any Muslims to get married to. Where here, and I'm talking about here in Charlotte, in North Carolina altogether, there are so many Muslims. But the problem is that, you know, we have a tribalism and racism, frankly, problem. So there are young people who have an attraction to each other, but are afraid to make any kind of moves, to tell any parent anything, because, oh, well, you know, that this person might be of Arab descent and this other person is Pakistani, or this person is African American and this person is, I don't know, Malaysian or what have you. And it causes a problem when they're all Muslim. So that's an issue. You know, that's a big issue. You're stopping young people from getting married because of this.
Because you
And
don't
this
want
is
them
the
to marry
parents.
somebody.
Outside of their culture.
Yeah.
But it could be a conflict sometimes. It can
Yeah.
be when it comes to cultures, and not all the time. But you may have someone that was born into a certain culture. They're still Muslim. You're still Muslim. You're from America. They may be from Pakistan, wherever. And their way of doing things are completely different, even though we both fear Allah. You know what I'm saying? So they might not eat American food. You might only know how to make American food. So now they're not looking down at you, but they're like, my mom, my sister, my niece, everybody cooks what I like to
Okay.
Either adapt to it, learn how to make their culture food. Now you know what I mean. You have sometimes it is an issue. You have
Yeah,
some brothers
sometimes.
Yeah.
that's not willing to.
So we have,
marry
yeah.
a woman if she cannot make the food like his mom or his sister or what he's used to eating or fufu or whatever
Yeah.
kind of rice it is they call it, whatever the case may be. If you're not even willing to learn,
Yeah.
then it's a no-go for some. You know.
Yeah,
and
but
that's
that
what-
is
How they-
sometimes, because like my husband
Yeah.
and I are two different
Yeah, I
cultures.
said sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. And you learn. You learn on both sides. You learn.
You have to
So
be
you're-
flexible. You have to
Yeah.
Yeah.
be flexible.
So your question was about tribalism, racism.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
It stops people from getting together.
Right. Well, we can't prevent it from happening,
Right.
right? But the thing is, we want to also make sure that things are being done in the right way. That's very important because we get into the questions of like how did they meet? How did they get so far as they want to get married and things like that? When people are at opposing cultures, opposing races, things like that, because talking to the wali, a young man talking to the wali of the woman, because what I'm saying, I'm saying this from experience, okay? Let's say we still on YouTube? I might need to cut the YouTube off. Let's say we have, in my experience, let's say we have so I don't say it, give me an immigrant country from somewhere. Sierra Leone. Okay, let's say we have somebody, a young lady who's from Sierra Leone. Okay? Her father's from Sierra Leone, her mother's from Sierra Leone. Oftentimes, they might have already had who they wanted their daughter to marry. Maybe if they were to arrange it, or if they were to, like, they already wanted, like, prearranged in their mind. But she meets someone that she wants to marry, right? I'm coming into the situation. How did she meet him, and how did they get so far to the point that they want to marry with her father, without telling her father, who's her wali, who she wants to marry, right? So as imam, if I find out, like, well, how did y'all meet? And it's something crazy, like we met at a, if it's in school, if they were in school and they started to meet and things like that, that's understandable, right? So these things happen. I know that it can be very difficult. There's no one trick on how to resolve that issue. I think if there's a reason, because I know in Islam, a wali should not prevent his daughter from marrying. He shouldn't prevent his daughter from marrying. But also at the same time, the woman should not marry against her wali's wishes if he has a valid reason to prevent her from marrying. So that's where things have to be, we sit down and we see what's really going on in the situation. Yeah, because sometimes the last time it was a fight in here, when Imam Khalil was about to do a wedding, last time it was pretty bad. It was a situation like that. This young lady, Muslim, was in college, UNC Charlotte, okay? And I probably shouldn't have named the school. But what I'm saying is they had been dating for a long time. And now she's like, here, this is the person I want to marry. So the father was very, very upset because it usurped his rights as a wali.
Right. And a father.
So he wasn't, so they were trying to make it seem like, it's because he's black You know what I mean? And he's like, it has nothing to do with his race. It has everything to do with how you took my right from me as your wali, right? So sometimes it's like that. So each scenario is different, even though things might be presented in a certain way. You know? But you're right. Tribalism, racism, those kind of things. But I'll just say I don't know what the statistics might be, but in my experience, a lot of times it's often the young people didn't start it off in the right way, right? So that's so we need to teach what is the right way, even for young people, because we don't want to avoid the process of dating, falling in love, and all of this, and then now we want to get married. We should be have interest. Who's your wali? We want to start the proper way of expressing interest for marriage, courting to get to know each other, and then we work towards a marriage date and do it the proper way.
Does everybody understand when he's saying wali? I know we have a question in the back. Does everybody understand when he's saying wali, what he means? Does everyone know the difference between a wali and a wakil?
No.
Okay.
It's a matter of relation.
Yeah.
A wali is either the sister's father, older brother, or uncle. A wakil is a separate, trusted member of the community that should be married. So his interruption of the sister's interest in this brother are not personal. Like he likes her, so he's telling her, no, this brother ain't no good because he likes her. So it's better for him to be married so his intentions are sincere and pure. But he would be someone who's not related to her. That's a wakil. But they would still do the same thing. Interview the brother, talk to the brother, get to know the brother, and then...
And the wali should also interview the sister too, especially if he didn't raise her.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. To find out what it is that she actually to see where her mind is, what she's actually thinking and she wants. Because as you were saying about coaching.
Yes.
This program that we have here is good. Sometimes we have like a handful of people here like this. Sometimes we have a room full of people. It depends on the different times we've done. We've been doing this for over 10 years. We've had 15 marriages successful, and only one, I believe, ended in divorce in 15 years. So I would say we've been successful with this program that we've been doing. But there's coaching and information and things that people don't know, even if they think they do.
Yeah.
Things that you don't know, even if you've been married before. There's information, and that's why coming together when we have these programs and coming out and telling somebody, or even if you have somebody you're interested in, bring them with you to this program because you want them to hear what's being said, what's being shared, what other people are asking, and different things like that. It's all a benefit to your situation. Nothing that you're ever going to hear in here is going to be a downfall. Even if it causes you and the person that you're interested in to separate. That's still a good thing because you learned something about them you did not know, had them respond in a way you did not expect, and then found out, okay, this is not who I want. So all that you're going to receive from this type of program is 100% good. But you have to also keep in mind where you are as a person, as a Muslim, as an adult, and put all of those experiences in to making your situation better than it is, as opposed to thinking you are where you are, and if they don't accept you the way you are, then shame on them because you're so amazing right now and deserve all this stuff right now, when actually you're doing yourself a disservice when the improvement you can do for yourself is easy. It may be 1 or 2 more steps from where you are. It may be 3 or 4 steps from where you are. but it's easier than what you're thinking, and the outcome will be so much better. Go ahead with your question.
I want to ask one question.
Yes, sir.
I was talking to a sister and a brother the other day on the bus stop. I was on the phone, and I was telling her, like, well, you know, I'm interested in meeting more Muslims here, and because when you're on that site, they from everywhere, you know.
Talking about a dating site?
Sir?
You talking about like a...
I don't be on them dating sites. That's some
Okay.
crap, you know what I'm saying? Excuse me.
Just sites of being in there.
Like Bingo.
Yeah.
I was on Bingo.
Okay.
Bingo Live. And I was talking to the sister. So assalamu alaikum, the sister. You know what I'm saying? She assalamu alaikum me back. But the brother came and made her be quiet. You know, so she didn't say another word. So I was telling her, so like, well, I'm grateful for, you know, saying being, you know, in their religion, and I wanted to meet more Muslims here. So he told me, he said, keep practicing your religion. I'm like, my religion, what is you talking about?
What's the question, brother?
The question is like, with this religion, okay, it's just one religion. You believe one way, right? So I was asking like, what religion am I in? Or maybe you talking to somebody, because every time I get on the sites, I always see that same name come up, no matter what person I, you know, go to, it always be that same name. And then I look, it be the same person. Sometimes I block it, take it off, and I come back on it again. Whoever it is, I don't know who it is, but they really stabbing me in my back. I mean, I work hard.
What is the
What
site?
It's Bingo.
What is that?
Okay.
Bingo.
So your question,
Crazy site.
yeah, I don't know what it is,
I
but
mean, my question is
your
this.
question.
My question is this. Number one, are we considered as racist because we black and we Americans and we in a religion, okay? Even like when I leave here, all right, everybody I be around black.
Yeah.
Okay, when a white person comes up upon me, like they'll walk up, I'm like, man, hold up, man, what is you doing? You know what I'm saying? What you want? You see what I'm saying?
Okay, but Sylvester, I want you to get to the question.
Oh, my question is, are we racist?
Are we racist?
Yes. Just because
Nobody
we
gonna
black
admit to
and
it.
We're American Muslims.
Right.
You know, are we racist?
A lot of people may have issues with bias and things like that. But that's a tough question to ask. Yes, America is a racist country, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, a lot of people are racist.
Now I'm just saying, are we racist because we
Yeah.
black American Muslims? You know?
No.
Yeah, that's.
I tell you,
the
that's a very subjective question.
You know, because
right?
that's
'Cause
exactly what they
it's-
calling me. They calling me a racist. You know, they calling me a racist, and then like.
Yeah, I'm confused by your question.
Yeah, they calling me a racist because I'm a black American Muslim. Like when they ask me what's my race, if I'm an African American, I tell them no, I'm a black American. I'm not from Africa.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you can't call me a
Yeah.
racist.
Basically, you just need to stay away from them people.
That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? But why I got to be considered as a racist?
Okay.
And then the thing about it is,
Hold on, Sylvester.
That's
It's
a
a
couple questions together.
yeah, it's a lot to unpack. So we might have to talk on the side. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
we might have to talk on the side.
yeah, because they're making me.
Because
mad.
this about we talking about marriage here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a lot. That's loaded, brother. So we can talk about it later, inshallah.
I would just say stay off that site. Stay
Yeah,
away from them
whatever that site is.
Stay away from
Get
them
off
people.
of it.
Yeah.
Stay
I
away
will.
from them folks.
I will.
Again,
Okay.
guys, don't forget we got food over there if y'all.
Yeah, we do got food over there.
Don't forget about
Now, also, I want somebody from Marriage Connection Committee.
Yes.
Let people know, 'cause we got the single people in here.
Yes.
How, if somebody's in the room, they want to inquire about them, what's the best method about doing that? If a sister want to inquire about a brother want to inquire about a sister, what's the method, the method of doing that here from today?
Okay. If any of the single brothers in the room, and we're saying it like this because of what has happened in the past. Don't wait until 3 days from now and contact me and say that sister in the blue hijab or that sister that said she did this kind of work, because I'm not going to know who you're talking about. So when we have our group programs, when we have our sessions like this, whether it's the educational piece, whether it's the game night piece, if there's somebody that you're interested in, regardless of what you've been told in the past, this is a halal environment. It is okay to interact with the opposite sex in this environment. So if there was a brother that you may be interested in, you like what he said, you like the questions he asked, let one of the sisters from the Marriage Connection Committee know. Her or sister Sharifa, there's another sister that's with us also, but she's out of town right now for the holiday weekend with her family. Let her know while we're here so we can find out from the brother, because they'll bring it to me, and then I'll find out from the brother while we're here whether there's an interest. Then we'll make a connection. You could actually then sit at one of the other tables and have a conversation while we're here because you're in a halal environment. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you're too shy,
if you're too shy, you can. But even if you're too shy, and you don't want to, the shyness is
them directly,
right because the shyness comes from rejection. I don't want to say that brother. I liked what he said. I like what his answers were. I may be interested in him for fear he might say, well, I'm not interested in her. So if that's the case, say something to one of the sisters here. We'll find out later in a separate situation. But the problem with that is, and I'm saying sisters, say this sister tells me that she's interested in that brother, or she tells them that she's interested in that brother, and then the brother leaves. It might be next month at our next program before y'all get a chance to interact because we haven't had an opportunity to get in touch with him. And if, say I do get in touch with the brother and say, oh, well, the sister said she was interested in you for various reasons, and you say, well, okay, well, I might be interested in her too. Or, what sister are you talking about? I don't remember her. I didn't see her. Or I don't remember as the description you gave. So now we got to wait and hope that both of you come to next month's program before you actually can interact with each other. So you're actually getting in your own way is what I'm saying. But the shyness, and I understand it. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I know some people, I don't want to say. But what we can't have is what we had like last time. Oh, that sister that said she was a dentist. I'm like, brother, I have no idea who you're talking about.
Came to me,
I was interested in that sister that said she was a dentist. Okay. Oh, yeah, the sister that was interested in Mwandu. And she said, yeah, the brother that came in with the long thobe on.
You name dropping?
Well, yeah, because I can do it. I don't mind name dropping. If you're interested in somebody that's in the room, please let it be known before you leave so we can try to make a connection at that point. Have the understanding and the courage of all it would be a conversation. That could actually even change the viewpoint. It's not like in the secular world, she's cute, or I like his muscles. It's, I like what they said. I like the Muslim that I think that person is. I want to find out more about them from that perspective, is what it is. And no is an acceptable answer. Yep. If you sit and talk with a brother or a sister, and y'all sit and talk, and okay, well, I didn't know you had a dog. I don't like dogs. Or I didn't know you were a cat person. I'm not caring for cats. Or I didn't know that you don't live in Charlotte, and I don't want to do long distance. Okay, then that's the end of the conversation. But you don't know what you'll find out if you never know what you'll find out if you don't initiate that first conversation. So, having said that, is there anyone? No, I'm just joking. I ain't gonna put you on front like that. I'm just teasing.
Go where you signed in.
Right.
And put what you wearing.
Yeah, put a tick mark beside your name where you signed in. No, if there is someone that you'd like to know anything more about, brothers, come to me. Sisters, go to Sister Sharifa, Sister Saadia, and we'll go forward from there. And like I said, today was a small group. Last time we had like 36 people in here. We've had over 40 people. Sometime we've had 10. Yeah, we had almost 60 one time. It was an even number of both brothers and sisters, and that was the time when everybody was acting shy. Nobody said anything until after everybody left.
We've been doing pretty good with the even numbers.
We've been doing pretty good with the even numbers, with a decent, because when we first started, it would be 15 sisters and 5 brothers, and that was a problem.
And then remember when the sisters boycotted? It was
And
like
then
15 sisters, 15 brothers.
And 15 brothers and 6 sisters came, and then they was like, "Oh, you get what you asked for." But the point ultimately is, the purpose of coming here is not just to come here and eat the food. The purpose is to come here, interact with each other, and find somebody that you can move into the community of Islam together with. So we got to get out of our own way, stop being so shy. It's okay if there's not somebody here that you're interested in at this moment, but the reason for being here is to find somebody that you might be interested in, and you won't know that until you interact with them. So don't stop yourself from a blessing Allah may have for you. Is basically what we're saying.
So
any questions? Any comments? Is that my group?
No, that's
it's a ringtone.
My phone acting up.
Oh, that's your phone. Okay. Any questions at all? Any comments? Yes, sir.
How often do y'all have these meetings?
Every month.
Every month? Like what day?
We didn't do one during Ramadan, so the one we did right after Ramadan was about 4 hours, because we combined the game night, fun night, education, everything all together. That was the day we had like about 40-some people there too.
Okay.
Follow.
We do it every month.
Yeah.
And we send, if you're on the flyer, not on the flyer, if you're on the sign-in sheet, if it's your first time here, when we send the information out, you didn't see the flyer. You said, I think
We just came in for Salat.
I literally came here to pray Asr. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't even live here. I live in the Philadelphia area.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, so I'm here because I'm helping my uncle. He's moving down here himself, and I'm not gonna lie, I like it down here. I might.
Okay.
Yeah, I might be down here too, man. Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. But yeah, we send flyers out. We send flyers out every month about the different programs.
Yeah.
Okay, mashallah.
You can follow our Masjid Facebook page and things.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything. Yeah. This is actually the flyer. This is the flyer that we sent out this time. This is what it looked like for the educational piece.
But look on Masjid Ash-Shaheed.
Yes.
And on TikTok and on Instagram and on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you look for the band, they just put out everything from every masjid.
Right.
Talking about the BAM 411? Yes.
Right.
Band 411, we're always, all our things
Go on there. Right. But then also with Masjid Ash-Shaheed, on YouTube, Masjid Ash-Shaheed Live, you can see our Sunday Talim service, our Friday Jumu'ah service, and this program as well. We have a what? Yes, we do. For our Eid program, we actually
You hoop, brother?
in the back of the masjid. We have a court.
You gonna be here this weekend?
Nah, I leave Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. We built our basketball court ourselves. It's back in the back, and you can go check it out. Open that door where it says X. You can check it out. But we had a basketball tournament here a few years ago, to where we had 17 teams from around the Charlotte area come and compete in that tournament.
Yeah.
And needless to say, I ain't gonna say it, but twice my team won.
This next week is the old school versus new school for the Eid.
Something like that.
The team after he watched them practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, and Maurice, the brother Maurice right here, me and him, and another brother that was like 7 feet tall. It was 3-on-3, 17 teams from around Charlotte, and we won. We took the championship. But again, getting back to our program, any comments, any questions, any concerns, anything we can do better, anything you guys want to see, For next month will be a game night or a movie night. Is there anything different that we haven't done that you guys want us to do? Anything?
She don't want the mic. Yeah.
Anything that you want us to do? Anything that we haven't done that you want to see done? Anything you want to help us do to make the program better or anything like that?
I know one time we had a sister who brought cards, like different things, like for example, I don't know, what was something in your childhood that affected who you are today or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
the sister that made.
I got those cards in my office.
We had
Yeah.
that game. What she's talking about is there was a sister.
Yeah.
She's actually from the Nation of Islam, but she also was interested in our program, and she also patented a card game on relationship. And when my wife and I, we bought it. We have it. We'll probably play that next month as well. And it has different questions on there to help you get to know each other and help you I want to ask the person something, but I don't know what to say. These cards help you come up with questions and understandings, and it's fun. It's interactive. The brother that was sitting here with the glasses on, he designed a game that would have been on that he has on the computer, and we were going to play that, but he had to leave. He had to run out. But so we'll do that next month as well. And it's an interactive Islamic game on history of Islam, different questions that all Muslims should know. And he's going to set it up to where he can send you a code, and everybody can have it on their own phone, and then we'll be able to play it together. He just had to leave, but it's his game
inshallah,
that he
next
came up
time.
with. Yes, sir. Got a question here and a question here, sir.
Remember the dating game on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, a dating
You want to do the game? if
Y'all
we
want to
do
pop
that,
we gonna do pop the balloon in here?
pop the.
We can't. I don't know.
Everybody line up. Okay, that's it. Everybody line up on that side of the room. We'll go get some balloons. Have people come in. No, that's funny to watch. But I actually tried to see how we could do that Islamically, and I don't think
can't
we
really
can.
do it Islamically.
I don't think we can.
Yeah.
It's funny to watch them go back and forth with it, but it's too much like speed dating.
Yeah.
And it's too much like speed dating and stuff like that. So it takes you out of your adab, and you get.
Yeah.
We don't want to add. There's enough in this society.
It's
We
enough
don't need
fitna.
to add anything that's going to pull us away from following
Yeah.
Allah and support and believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, sir. Go. Well, hold on. He had a question right here.
Real quick, it's a few important things that we have to, when we're dealing with the marriage, we have to actually look at childhood trauma. So when you, especially when you bring in people
That's
together.
definitely something I bring up in
we
counseling.
have to actually, but I'm saying like, even here, address it. Because sometimes I might give an answer now and help the brother or help the sister, and they're like, wow, or the couple might even be here or trying to get married, and they'll know how to deal with situations. But that should be something that we actually should have here. But the other thing, too, as far as converts, like me come from the only Muslim in my family, then I can let them know from my experience, I had to disown my family for a minute to get my respect for them to respect the religion. So they like, well, you've been Christian all this time, you've been eating pork, you've been doing this, that, and other. I said, yeah, but when I learned about Islam and it gave me something to fear more than what's out here in the street, the fear of Allah, I stopped doing this, stopped doing this, but you mad at me. I became a better person. So what happens is I had to make them force to respect religion. I had to stay away from them, But it's different things you're going to go through, and new converts need to learn that and know about it, so they can expect, like, man, I don't understand my mama, why she turn on me, my dad, why they turn on me? I don't
Yeah, we talk
understand this,
about that in our Islam 101 class with the new shahadas.
Yeah, it get crazy, and you would be hurt because it's a family that you've been knowing for 10, 20, 30 years, and you just became
Never would have
Muslim.
thought your own parents and cousins and siblings would turn on you like that.
Yeah, so that's it.
It sure did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was it's history that went through with it. Yes, sir.
It's crazy because I'm going through that same thing he's talking about right now. Only
Muslim in your family.
Like my immediate family, it's my mom loved it, my dad loved it, my brothers, sisters, they're all cool. They're all like, I'm happy for you. Right. But I'm starting to notice everybody around them. It's like, oh, you don't believe what we believe. And it's like, but when we didn't talk about religion, was perfectly fine.
Yes.
But now that you know,
Yeah.
now there's a separation. Now there's you're sending me stuff on my phone every weekend.
Yeah.
Trying to get you back to Jesus.
And most of that, and most of the problem people have with stuff like that is because you're trying to stop them from what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Not that it's not better for them, not that it's not an improvement, it's just they're not comfortable changing. And that's the problem that you'll find. But then the thing you do with that is it's good that you see who has resistance.
Yeah.
Because then you know how to deal with them. You know, stuff like that. We're not going to keep you guys much longer. It's running a little late. Actually, my group will probably be coming in. I don't look at the time.
We got almost an hour till then.
Oh, okay. So, but we still want to
less than
hold
an hour.
everybody too long. Again, please take and enjoy the food. If you have any questions, please ask them. If not, we're going to close out with Salat, with prayer. And we want to thank everybody for coming again. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had your questions answered. I hope you come back next time. And next time when we do it, we will be playing the card game and some other games, even Uno or something like that. What is deal?
Monopoly, spin off of Monopoly.
Okay.
Swap, steal, scheme. It's about real life, only property.
Bring it with you next month when you come. Next time when you come, inshallah. So yeah, we'll play. We'll set it up.
Y'all have tried other stuff like
we'll try.
Putt, bowling, stuff like that.
We did. We weren't really trying to do anything that was going to cause people to have to spend a lot of money.
Right.
So but what I do have the pigeonhole game. I can put it in the hallway down there. We can play that here.
Okay.
We do have a couple other little games that we do bring, card games and things, and board games, stuff like that. But we really didn't want to get into a whole lot of anything that would cause people to spend money.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But thank you all. If our Imam will close us out in dua.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's close out with Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you all for coming.